Well, finally, Liquid is starting to move some of their highly coveted assets. Reignover, according to Invin, is heading over to Counterlogic Gaming, and you got to assume he'll probably be starting over Omargod.
I would say that's a pretty safe assumption, Eric, especially when you look at what they did last split. When Omargod came on to replace Dardoch, it just wasn't the same team. What Dardoch did for CLG was just free up those side lanes, mid and top, by being so aggressive, constantly invading, and just getting involved with everything. Whereas Omargod, he was this guy who sat back, wouldn't really get involved with first bloods too often. That's something that Reignover will definitely do on Counterlogic Gaming. As the starter, I'm pretty sure we can put Omargod on the Academy team. They like him for whatever reason. Obviously, he's a talented guy. That sounded worse than it was meant to. But Reignover has been around the block. When he first came out to Fnatic, when he had a top laner like Huni, the things he could do with that top lane pairing was incredible. And Dardoch is going to have a similar role, someone who can take that carry potential to the next level, kind of like Huni did when they came over to Fnatic. So I expect kind of the similar dynamic between Reignover and Dardoch. And then again, who he was at his best with Dardoch on that team, that aggressive style jungler. So I think this is a great move, and now the only question mark remains in that bot lane. Will Afro come back? After the Reignover signing, you gotta believe so.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be pretty enticing from his point of view to say, oh, okay, that team looks pretty solid. And yeah, if you throw Afro on there, it only makes the transition easier for Reignover because they already have that established playstyle that they have, established line of communication and what they're trying to do, and then you just kind of plop Reignover in there, and I think he could fit into that style really well. And he's a nice, friendly guy, which fits the theme of friendship that CLG loves to promote.
Yeah, I mean, Reignover, not toxic whatsoever. And one thing about him, if you've seen some of his videos, his strategy and his just movement around the jungle is almost unmatched. I know he had a rough split with Liquid recently, where he was kind of in and out with Dardoch, but that was also on a Team Liquid roster where he had Golden Goo in the mid lane and Lorlo in the top lane, which you don't expect too much pressure from. He and Dardoch obviously supply a lot more pressure and just overall game ability than Lorlo and Golden Glue. So on this new CLG roster now, when you compare it to rosters like TSMs, like Team Liquids, like Cloud9, it looks like that top four is going to be pretty dominant once again. I mean, CLG's roster all of a sudden, just by upgrading Omargod to Reignover, takes it back to the next level, and they should have more success in playoffs than they did in some.
Yeah, and I think that was obviously one of the glaring weaknesses
Yeah.
with that CLG lineup. And then, yeah, it's pretty much the old guard, the top four guys. I mean, Liquid has definitely been in the dungeons for the last couple of years, and that's why you saw that dip in Reignover's play. But yeah, with this more aggressive stuff, that's basically the rosters he's played with, Immortals, Fnatic. They like to fight, a lot of team fights, and that's exactly what CLG was doing last split. So it's an overall pretty solid fit. And yeah, for these new teams coming in, you got to look at these top rosters and you're like, man, how do we compete with that? They've got pretty much all the top tier domestic talent across guys like TSM, C9, CLG, and now Team Liquid. It's going to be tough for any of these NBA teams coming in, or Optic, even FlyQuest kind of starting fresh, to keep up with these rosters because, yeah, these top four are stacked.
Yeah, they're going to need some big splash free agent import moves to really compete. Something like a Peanut, something like that, to be able to go toe-to-toe with a CLG, with a Team Liquid, a team that's revamping their roster. They're not sitting back like they might have last, but we know CLG kind of likes to sit on players from time to time. Example, that one actually turned out very well for them because I now think he's the best player on CLG. And who knows, maybe if it was just another regular split, they would have sat on Omargod as well and seen what he can do with this team. But in the franchising, more competitive, more on the line. So let's get Reignover and try to take first place.
And I think, yeah, they've got a pretty good chance of doing that. Again, the only thing left is getting Afremu back. And even if they don't get him back, I mean, there are still other domestic supports that are available. Biofrost, a name that's being thrown around pretty much anywhere. You got to imagine TSM's getting rid of him at some point. Adrian, familiar with Reignover as well. That's another guy who's kind of overlooked really in a lot of this. He's been on some, all that guy does is win in the LCS. So there's still plenty of options available if Afremu does decide to not come back to CLG. But with that roster right now, I don't see why he wouldn't come back because it looks pretty good.
You're not going to find a better roster elsewhere in the LCS as of right now anyways, unless the Guardians put together something crazy.
Still waiting on a signing from that team, but there's still time. Although a lot of the good talent is going away, And as you know, Team Liquid is only going to continue to give away some of these assets, but for right now, Counterlogic Gaming is looking pretty solid.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more esports content.